Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Flashpoint Radio. I am your host, Jay-Z, coming to you, recorded live here on February 20th, 2012. It's about 6:30 here in the St. Louis area. We're having some more unseasonably warm weather for the winter time, and I will take it. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Flashpoint Radio, Facebook.com/Flashpoint Radio, and if you're watching this on YouTube, because I know you are, click the subscribe button. You'll get an update every time a new episode comes out so you can stay in tuned. We're going to get right into it. We're going to start off with a little international news, move to a little Ron Paul news, and then finish up with some St. Louis local news. Starting off, last week, there were Iranians arrested, and there were attacks in India and the country of Georgia, supposedly against Israeli diplomats by Iranian terrorists. They were very quick to come out. Benjamin Netanyahu was quick to come out and say it was Iran that did it. It was funny because the bombs that were used were sticky bombs used by motorcyclists driving by, putting sticky bombs on cars. If you remember one of my earlier Flashpoint episodes, an Iranian nuclear scientist was assassinated in January the exact same way, and it was linked to a Israeli-linked terrorist organization called MEK. MEK stands for the Mujahideen Khalq organization. NBC News has reported as late as February 9th that Israel has connections to this Islamic terrorist organization and that they use them as a proxy to perform the assassinations against the Iranian nuclear scientists. It's very funny that we think that Israel is some sort of nation that is beyond corruption and beyond any type of dirty deeds, but we forget that they're a government, just like our government, just as corruptible. This article that I'm referencing is from Infowars.com. Thai Muslim leader Massad's MEK responsible for diplomat attack. This MEK organization, they killed American contractors and U.S. soldiers in the 70s, and they are listed as a terrorist group by the State Department. They wounded a United States Air Force Brigadier General in a 72 assassination attempt, and murdered Air Force officers and employees of Rockwell International in 1976. This is an organization. The group of MEK shills include former top Bush officials and other Republicans: Michael Mukasey, Fran Townsend, Andy Card, Tom Ridge, Rudy Giuliani, as well as Democrats Howard Dean, Ed Rendell, Bill Richardson, and Wesley Clark. All of these people are war hawks. They are anti-Islam, and they just want to play both sides. It's called the Great Game. You fund both sides of an operation, and you come in and you play the savior. So we've got this linking directly into this other article from Infowars.com, which quotes a WABC radio interview. Headline: Former CIA boss says Iran will attack the Statue of Liberty. He said, quote, "We will have a very serious problem from terrorism if we insist on Iran shutting down its nuclear program, but we have to do that. And so we have to get ready to deal with assaults on government facilities, on famous symbols of the country like the Statue of Liberty, on Jewish synagogues." Really? You say the Statue of Liberty and Jewish synagogues. What combines those two things? Why are we listening to these people? He gives no real evidence in this interview. He states of no facts that he has said. He just simply says, "I'm a credible source and you should believe me." Of course we should. We should also believe that Al-Qaeda is out to get us when we created Al-Qaeda in 1979. Look it up. And in fact, Israel created Hamas to deal with Hezbollah. Look that up as well. Just start page it. Moving away from terrorism, you should keep that on your radar for sure, because when they start talking about possible terrorist threats, that is a warning sign for a false flag terror event to come. So watch out and keep your eyes open. But we're going to move right into the GOP primary. Oh, the the fun times that come with them ignoring Ron Paul and putting some crazy whack job at the top of the list like Rick Santorum. But the Maine GOP caucus was completed after a snow day. This comes from Yahoo News. Ron Paul received 163 votes. Romney received 80 votes. Of course, it wasn't enough to give Ron Paul the win in Maine, but it is virtual tie. But they will not say that. They will still pump it into you that Romney won that hands down. Moving on from CNN Politics, headline, Paul Santorum has an atrocious voting record. Ron Paul relaunched his attack that Republican presidential rival Rick Santorum is a liberal. If you look back on my Rick Santorum special on Flashpoint Radio, please watch it. It has a lot of good information. It quotes an article he himself wrote, Rick Santorum, in 1990, where he calls himself a progressive Republican. I'm not sure of what kind of staunch conservative, Catholic, Christian conservative Republican would describe themselves as a progressive Republican, but he did. He also has a very wishy-washy stance on abortion, and his stance on the combination of church and state is so dangerous, I don't know what to think about it. Our founders were Christians, most of them, but they did not require you to be Christian to be a part of the government. They would have no problem with an atheist with high moral standards of being the president. I don't know that I would either, as long as he followed the Constitution to a T. The only one that follows the Constitution to a T is Ron Paul. Regarding Rick Santorum's voting record, he voted for the bridge to nowhere. He voted for raising the debt ceiling 5 times as a senator. And he also voted for the Title X, which was a funding bill that funded family planning, which includes abortion and contraception. So, you know, he's voting for things that now he is saying that is absolutely should be taken off the table. I don't believe the government should be getting in your body at all. Rick Santorum also criticized Mitt Romney for taking for claiming victory in the 2002 Olympics. He says that he shouldn't take any praise for the success of that event because the Olympics received a buttload of government money, taxpayer dollars. Well, Rick Santorum happened to be in the Senate at the time, and he happened to vote for the funding that went to the Olympics. So, hey, Rick Santorum, how about you don't get on Mitt Romney's case because you voted for the dang stuff? Come on, let's have a little integrity, please. We're going to move directly from the GOP primary into some St. Louis headlines. I always like to at least touch on St. Louis headlines to keep it in your mind that our local governments and our local stories is what actually affects our lives. These national stories that Fox News, CNN, and all of the talk shows on the radio put out there don't affect your lives. But guess what? Charlie Dooley affects your life. Francis Slay affects your life. The St. Louis County Police Department affects your life. All of your local aldermen and city council members affect your life. And guess what? They're so much closer to you, you can actually make a difference as one person. We're going to start with this headline from STL Today. Obama takes tougher stance on higher education. During his State of the Union address, he basically told colleges that you have to stop raising money or raising tuition. If you continue to raise tuition, he was going to take away your funding. Well, if you look at the graph from when government money went into colleges in the late 70s and the early 80s to now, there's a direct correlation between the rise in cost of education and the amount of money the government puts into sending people to college. If you haven't watched the documentary College Conspiracy, please look it up. It's a free documentary. I'll put the link in the description below, along with the links for all of the articles I talk about. Watch it, College Conspiracy. So Obama says that you gotta stop raising tuition or we're going to take away your money. But look at this. Lindenwood raises tuition and fees 3.8%. University of Missouri raises their tuition 3%. Well, what are you going to do, Obama? Are you going to take their money away? No. I have a prediction that Obama will say, well, we're going to have to pump more money, more government money, because their costs are just going up. You know, they've got to pay for more security guards, and each professor needs another aide, and we need to build another, dining hall, and we need new statues and new sidewalks. We got to do all this stuff, and those costs add up. Well, if you didn't actually worry about sports and keeping students busy with pleasurable activities and made them go to class, it really doesn't cost that much money to sit kids in a room and talk to them and give them books. But when you've got to pay for, energy-efficient lighting and up-to-date everything else, it tends to add up. We're going to go right into some local corruption. STLtoday.com headline, Ameren gives lots of free tickets to Representative Webb. Representative Steve Webb, which is the ranking Democrat on the House Utilities Committee, has accepted more in free gifts from Ameren than any other public official in Missouri. Anyone that is from any single lobbying group. So he received more money from a single lobbying group than any other member of our elected representative down in Jefferson County or Jefferson City. And he's on the Utilities Committee. Well, look at this. Missouri is one of few states that places no limit on lobbyist gifts to lawmakers. Oh, okay. Oh, Mr. Webb represents Florissant. And he's the only politician who gets into ball games and concerts for free. I'm from Florissant, and this embarrasses me. People in Florissant, you should be embarrassed. Embarrassed that you voted this person in, and if he gets reelected, it's your fault. And Ameren should give him as much money as they want to. Because until you stand up and say, this is wrong, they can do whatever they want. And finally, we're going to end on a health concern issue considering people in St. Charles County. Headline, report on cancer risk from Weldon Springs site assailed. If you didn't know, out in Weldon Springs, they have dumped and buried in rocks a bunch of radioactive waste from military radioactive weapons trainings. And of course, the report that the government put out said there's no problem. This comes from residents of St. Charles County. Scientists and health advocates say the authors of the report diluted the data by looking at too many zip codes, made no correction for population growth, and didn't study other types of cancers known to have links to radiation, says Robert Chris, a Washington University geochemist who studies contamination of groundwater in Missouri river basins. So our government says, yes, radioactive material in your backyard is not a problem. If you live in St. Charles County or around Weldon Springs and you wonder why in 15 years your child or your uncle or your brother has cancer, there you go. And hey, if you live in Florissant and you were near Coldwater Creek where they dumped a bunch of things upriver and it ran all the way through to Florissant and your aunt or your uncle got some sort of cancer, guess what? It was the government because they don't care about you. They just love killing you. Why? Because the medical industry can then can then sell you overpriced treatments that will kill you anyways. Wake up, people. Question your authority. Question your doctor's authority. Question your government's authority. Question the police's authority. Question everyone's authority because you are the sovereign individual, not the government. Thank you for watching. Sorry I got a little long. Tune in next time to Flashpoint Radio. I'm Jay-Z signing out. God bless. Keep your eyes to the sky.